Hello, I'm Rachel Maria Bell. One of my creative passions and purposes, sole purposes, is telling stories. If you've never heard me tell a story before, you may be in for a little bit of a shock, and I would really recommend taking a minute to just watch the purpose of my storytelling and what might happen, so that you understand what's going on, and in case you get very triggered by anything I say. Okay, so without further ado, let's get into the 8th of December 2025. So, on the morning of the 8th of December 2025, I woke up feeling a bit out of sorts. In fact, quite a bit out of sorts, and I couldn't detect the nature of that. Now, 8th of December seems to throng around the years for me. I am very present to anniversaries and memories across lifetimes and things that happen across my life and other people's lives who I know, things that happen in the collective. So, 8th of December, it's the feast of the Immaculate Conception of Mary when she conceived Jesus, or Yeshua. So there's that. Also, for those of you who know that I communicate with John Lennon, the 8th of December was the date that he was shot. It's also the birth date of Mary, Queen of Scots. I have information come through connected with her. And it was also in 2020 the date that the UK government rolled out their programme, their health care programme connected with the pandemic. So go to 2025. And I woke up not feeling great, but I was like, you know how afterwards, when you can put the dots together afterwards, you're like, oh, that was the message wanting to come through to me. And actually, the fact that I was so blocked and so in my own way, I ought to remember this kind of thing, because sometimes I can get like a big headache, and then I get a special type of headache that happens like kind of here and behind my left eye. And then I go, oh, somebody wants to come through. I know that that's a message, a spirit message. But on this day, I was like, I just feel generally rubbish. So I thought, well, I know what I'll do. I'll shift my energy. And one way that I do that is blindfold dancing. So I put on my blindfold, put on my headphones, crank the music up, and get dancing in my lounge. Now, because I do this quite often, I am obviously very spatially aware of my own lounge. I usually don't fall over or anything like that. But on this day, I hadn't been dancing long when I absolutely crashed into the sofa, and I really hurt myself. I bashed my shins right in the middle of my shins on like the bottom wooden bar of the sofa, and it really hurt. I took a step back, like really shocked, and so I went to rub my shins, and as I put my hands on my shins, I was like, oh, it's a message. I felt it run through my whole body, like there's a message, something wants to come through. And I have no idea what it is. So I'm just gonna, okay, I'm gonna be present with this. I know. It's almost like that splenic projector knowing is like, it's like an instantaneous, for me, it's like an instantaneous, I know, I'm present, I'm here, woo. And it's like a fear type exhilaration that runs right through me, and I go, okay, what is it? Who's there? And I've had it all my life, and I pay the consequences of not paying attention to it. So these days I do pay attention. So I went back dancing. I thought, well, I'll put my blindfold back on, get my headphones back on, driving away. Anyway, very soon, because now I'm present to, there's a message that wants to come through. I pay attention to what I see. And where I am is I'm on the ceiling of the Holy Trinity Chapel, part of Canterbury Cathedral. So if anybody's ever been there, where the desecrated former shrine of Thomas a Becket was, it's like I'm just above that. So I'm just hovering on the ceiling, like, So I'm Rachel, body of Rachel is still like dancing around her living room, but I'm mentally like third eye. I'm on the ceiling of Canterbury Cathedral. Now the next part happened within 2 seconds, but it will take me a little while to explain it. Okay, so because I receive like boom, instantaneous receiving of information. But then it takes a little while to tell that story in human speed. And then there will be perhaps a good couple of months of, and what was the purpose of that coming through? Could be any time scale of, I could even be 5 years down the line and go, oh, I realised why I saw that thing on that day. Yeah. So I'm on the ceiling of Canterbury Cathedral, and there's an energy comes up from the tomb of Edward Black Prince, and it goes zoom. And then there's another energy from the tomb of Henry the Fourth that goes zoom. And they both like form this kind of triangle, and I just see it in the middle of this like spark, and I go, hello, John of Gaunt. Right. So I'm like, alrighty. Now I don't actually see him. This is more a feeling in my belly. This is like it's like a solar plexus. Hello. All right. And it's quite active and real and present. And yeah. So because I've now connected with the energy of John of Gaunt, what happens is instantly Thomas à Becket comes in, and he's there. He's like, he comes in, like that right hand stream. Hello. So he's in my lounge with me. I mean, Thomas à Becket is very, very clear for me. I met Thomas à Becket in Canterbury in October 2024. That is a whole different story on a whole different level. But anyway, Thomas is here, and he has been one of my brokers for performing bibliomancy. And I mean that in a wider sense. There are many, many books, not just the Bible. I used to hear this in church when I was a kid. The Bible's not the only book. And I do tend to work with writers across the ages, and things that have been written in books. Right. So I'm about to perform some oracle reading, and of course I know what book it is because I've just met the energy of John of Gaunt. So I go to the book of John of Gaunt. Okay. So I sit down right here where I am telling this story right now. So I get it. I go, all right then, there's a message either from John of Gaunt or about John of Gaunt that's going to come through to me. And Thomas Beckett's right here. Now, this is a book by Helen Carr. I got this in York a little while ago. I read the first couple of chapters. This is very me. I do not read a book from start to finish in a linear format. I'm an Aries. I start things, I don't finish them. I've got a lot of books. I use most of them like an oracle. I dip in and research what I need to research when I need to research it, or I dip in this way. In Thomas Beckett's not always there. Obviously, I sometimes just get an intuitive here. We don't need we don't need saints to do this, but we did on this day. So I start looking at it, and if anybody ever does this, I'll start going, there's more than 200 pages here. Like, can I do this? There's this minor fear. Am I capable of doing this? And then I go, yeah, I am. Yeah, I am, of course. I have the courage, right? That minor fear activates me into true courage. Do you think that Thomas à Becket would be right here, right now, if I didn't have the ability to do this? No, of course he wouldn't. Why would he be wasting his time, right? He's not coming because I'm fannying around. He's coming because I can do this. Okay, so I lock in and I put the book on my head and I go, Thomas à Becket, please help me open this book on the right page, and God and whoever else is there. Let's go. Or whatever it is that I say. I do something in the moment that's a very deep intention. Show me the correct message. Show me it now, and it is done. Thank you. And I know. And I go, boom, and I open the page, which which is here. Okay, so I read that, and I'm going to tell you what's in there. So, the scene in the book, I'm reading like the story on the page that I opened it at. A crowd gathered outside St Paul's Cathedral in the city of London on the 19th of February 1377. So we're in Old St Paul's to witness the trial of John Wycliffe. I'd never seen this, not until the 8th of December 2025. I never knew about this event. Before an assembly of bishops, John Wycliffe was charged with speaking against church endowments. The priest had been brought to trial by William Courtenay, Bishop of London, for two reasons. He wished to make an example of Wycliffe and his Lollard views, and to attack John of Gaunt, Wycliffe's patron. So, it then goes on to say it's unclear exactly what John of Gaunt's motivations were in his open support of Wycliffe. So Wycliffe was seen as being a heretic in those days. He was an Oxford scholar who openly criticised and questioned, I would say questioned, things that was commonly held Catholic doctrine of the day, such as the transubstantiation, when the priest blesses the bread at Eucharist, and you're meant to believe that that turns into the body of Christ. And John Wycliffe's like, it's a piece of bread, mate, or something like that. I am translating in modern parlance there. But he's like questioning that. He's going, it's a metaphor. And in those days, it was like the bishops were going, well, you heretic, you can burn for that. Okay. So these people who are like clergy and supposed to be, sharing the word of Christ are actually just burning each other for having different views. And this is male on male spiritual persecution. So anyway, this is going on, and John of Gaunt bursts into this court that's been hooked up in Old St Paul's. He bursts in with an armed guard and threatens to drag the bishop out by his hair. I found it kind of funny. It's such a drama. Can you imagine that happening inside a church now? Yeah, he's prepared to fight him. It's funny, isn't it? So anyway, John of Gaunt then goes out with Henry Percy, who you've got to assume is the dad of Hotspur, and they go out and dine on fresh oysters in the city. I love all the detail. As they ate, Gaunt received news that angry rebels were seeking him out at that very moment, threatening to kill him. He apparently jumped up so fast, he banged his shins on the table. He banged his shins. Oh, this is how we started the day. He banged his shins. So I know that I've got the right message. Okay. So I physically banged my shins. Then I've gone dancing and instantly met John of Gaunt. And then Thomas à Becket comes in and says, get your book about John of Gaunt. I'm going to show you what the message is. And then the message is about John of Gaunt bashing his shins. And I go, okay. Now, there's a few things to say about this. Number one is, I didn't learn this anywhere. This is, I didn't go on somebody's spiritual development course and learn how to do this. And I think it's really funny to even imagine that, because I have looked around the spiritual industry these past few years and just thought, why is everybody not doing their own thing? Why are people not understanding their own method, their own ways of doing things? What's going on here? This is me in my truth, in my power, in how I am. Now, I have lots of ways that I understand myself to know that this is truth for me. So why? I have planet Uranus in my first house. Uranus, higher dimensional information. In my first house, the body. The body is the bridge. Yeah, I know it is, right? So I receive the information through my body and it comes through rapidly. Uranus. Okay. Other people think I'm weird. That's absolutely fine. Uranus in the first house. People are going to think you're weird. I don't give a shit. So that's number one. And it's a very quick, efficient way to bring through this kind of information. Now, you might wonder, well, what's the purpose? Of course, I wonder what's the purpose as well. But it's already taken me far longer to sit down and tell you this story than the actual story took place. And the point is, I know that I am in a place of truth because I know that I have received correctly. There is no doubt in my mind. I know how fast my psychic gifts work. Now, my psychic gifts don't only work like this. I'm not just dealing with um, medieval men of England, am I? I'm not just doing that. When I'm working with my clients, I am observing them across different timelines very clearly and helping them to get into their power to fulfill and deliver their soul mission. This is just me telling a story about how I receive and travel through multiple layers of like time. I mean, like it's all just happening now, right? Everything's happening now. So anyway, and it would be multiple other stories to extract all the layers of meaning and the purpose. But that was a very efficient way for this story to come through to me. And there will be a reason why it was on that day. Not only because the forefathers of England, the medieval gang who I communicate with, they prayed to Mother Mary. Mother Mary was a really important part of their worship. And I've grown up Church of England where Mary was barely mentioned. And I don't feel good about that. Having been a child who could see Mother Mary from the age of 5, right? I didn't feel good about the level of patriarchy that was within the Church of England. I still don't think it's amazing that we have um the religion of our land created by a wife murdering king. Not really up for that. Actually, these medieval guys who I deal with, they loved their wives. Right. Anyway, that's just one thing. So I look at this and I go, is there anything about the page that it's on? Don't know whether you can see it. 111. Okay. So everything lining up. Oh yeah. It just makes me laugh. So 111. I didn't know at this point that I was going to meet Edward 111, or you might call him Edward the Third, on the 29th of December. That was still to come. So I didn't know that on that day. But it is quite interesting that 111 appears on the bashing your shins incident. It's almost like I'm receiving things in piecemeal and it all links together. And very interesting that I met Edward the Third, or Edward 111, on the 29th of December. Why? Because the 29th of December is the feast date of Thomas à Becket, the very same man who had me pick up this book on this day. So thank you for hearing. I think there is a lot to say about this in a fuller, more meaningful sense, maybe at a different point. For now, that is my story. Thank you for watching.